I live near Hazelton, Pennsylvania. People are still so insanely racist, even though the migrant population brought back the mall there from the brink of closing and opened several more businesses and have increased the quality of life there by a ton. Used to be a shithole when I was younger, but you can go hang out there for a day now. It's awesome. Yeah. Hazelton, Pennsylvania is a perfect demonstration of like how immigrants basically are the backbone of this country and how immigrants end up literally revitalizing places that are in a state of dire disrepair. And also the reaction to Hazelton, Pennsylvania from the former residents of Hazelton, Pennsylvania, some of the former residents of Hazelton, Pennsylvania, is also a perfect demonstration of the fact that like a lot of these people would rather die than live next to fucking brown people. Okay? Like there's like hella people straight up, like old racist dumb fuckers who would rather die than live next to a brown person. That's it. And Tucker Carlson used Hazelton as an example of a country, of a county whose demographic makeup changed dramatically. You have video. I've dealt with this issue before. This is not my first fucking foray into the subject matter. Immigration is a major problem for me. Like the way we treat immigrants in this country is obviously something that I have personal feelings about. It's something that I've been covering for years and years, and I've noticed that like the Democratic Party has always capitulated, but nowadays they've like completely dropped the counter argument, the counter messaging, and beyond that, they don't even like demand any sort of like concessions from the Republicans. Yeah, this is from the woke George W. Bush Institute, summer of 2018. You know, those woke guys. This dude is always eating. Yes, I eat at the same time every day. If you come in here at the same time every day, you're going to watch me eat for a little bit, okay? I apologize. I'm a human being, and I spend 8 hours in front of the camera every day. And yes, in those 8 hours, one of those 8 hours, I'm going to be eating. You don't have to watch me eat, though. You can just turn it off, or you can just, watch the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, for example. But if you want to watch me eat uninterrupted, then all you need to do is subscribe for $6, even though it's 30% off right now, so I don't know what that means math-wise, or for free with a Twitch Prime. You too can watch me eat uninterrupted. Do you respond to someone commenting on how you eat at the same time every day? Pretty much. That's why a lot of times I feel like, days just kind of melt into one another, It's just like I have no concept of time anymore. I do feel sometimes like a robot that is just repeating the same things over and over and over again. Oftentimes the same points over and over and over again. It's very interesting. Anyway, it's not just Tucker Carlson's video. There is a video that I've done on Tucker Carlson. Let's find that one. Here, in terms of like immigration.
Hi, Tucker Carlson's white pilling your dads every night.
On the left, you may have noticed everything is about race. Everything, even things that have nothing to do with race.
There's one thing Tucker Carlson hates. It's continuing to wear bow ties. That and talking about race. Unless it's about preserving the white race.
Everybody gets a safe space except white men. They are hated and despised. Attacking white men for being white men. Attack white men for their privilege in a whole bunch of ways.
I was handed a box of saltine crackers, and in a group chat during the event, a student photoshopped my face onto a cracker.
This is what
Isn't it funny that like dudes who used to be a part of this community, or at least adjacent to this community back when I used to make these videos, unironically now behaving exactly the same fucking way as that kid that went on Tucker Carlson? I'm of course talking about Boner Chelly's fan base and how much they get mad about anti-white racism.
Tucker Carlson's doing with Bill O'Reilly's coveted 8 p.m. slot on Fox News, which is currently the 3rd most popular cable news show in the country.
By the way, just to pause, I assume that's a slur against your ethnicity, correct?
I've talked about this on my Twitch a lot, but only the most important subjects are covered on Tucker's show, like white genocide, which is in fact something that the left is advocating for, apparently.
But he did not, notably, advocate for genocide. A Georgetown professor called Christine Fair did do that.
Imagine being a producer on Tucker's show, constantly scouring the internet looking for blue checkmark Twitter users saying dumb things while they're emotionally distraught in order to make wild claims like that the left is advocating for white genocide. Of course, this isn't how white genocide is actually happening. According to the folks Tucker is mirroring, white genocide is happening because immigration is changing the nation's demographics, and it's being justified by an evil liberal plot called diversity.
Diversity is our strength, they screech, as if that settles the conversation by itself, like a magic talisman.
Diversity. We hear about it nonstop. It's the mainstream motto.
Tucker's relentless attacks against diversity, multiculturalism, and immigrants as a whole are literally identical to white supremacists, white nationalists, and neo-Nazis. They're also reductive and oftentimes completely baseless comparisons.
How precisely is diversity our strength? Since you've made this our new national motto, please be specific as you explain it.
Well, for one, diverse executive boards generate better returns, among countless other studies that show the many benefits of diversity, but I'm sure the biases of racially anxious agitators are more important than empirical evidence.
Can you think, for example, of other institutions, such as, I don't know, marriage or military units, in which the less people have in common, the more cohesive they are?
Well, Tucker, you have the most in common with your family members. Are you suggesting keeping marriage within your family? Why do you want to have sex with your cousins, Tucker? Also, as far as non-diverse militaries go, maybe you should open a history book and take that up with General Robert E. Lee. Go on, Tuck. What else?
Latin American countries are changing election outcomes here by forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want.
This assertion is preposterous because, it's completely untrue. Just look at polling data. 75% of Americans say that immigration is a good thing. So who are the Americans you're referring to here? These guys?
It sounds to me like we got a problem with people who got here legally altering the landscape politically. I don't like it. You. Stop it.
But I guess we should just run the country on the white fragility of crying neo-Nazis as opposed to the overwhelming majority of Americans' wishes. But play us out, Tucker. Give us a cherry-picked example that could easily be countered with facts.
Hazelton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazelton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazelton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there. And that's bewildering for people.
Hazelton's a perfect example of immigrants saving a small coal mining town from absolute economic annihilation by opening up small businesses, and even the large immigrant-run corporations who have brought jobs over to the small town. This is, of course, despite the efforts made by the white population to fight off the immigrant scourge with unconstitutional regulations. And even the Nat Geo article that you're using here to advance your narrative mentions the reality that immigration has drastically improved Hazelton. But you won't hear that part because Tucker's not in the business of making America better. He's just trying to do white identity politics. And I'm sorry to tell you this, Tucker, but facts don't care about your feelings. I'm Hasan Piker. If you're mad that one of the biggest
Damn, dog. This motherfucker is right. Oh my God. Extremely unimaginably rare Hasan Abi W, bro. Just kidding. I've been saying this for years. Suck my dick, everybody.
Investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example,
that
to
was
start
fucking
a small
6
business.
years ago, by the way, that
so
video.
my opportunity economy plan includes giving startups a $50,000 tax deduction to start their small business. It used to be $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. Opportunity economy means, look, we don't have enough housing in America. We have a housing supply shortage. And what that means, in particular for so many younger Americans, the American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. To help people who just want to get their foot in the door, literally. And so giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment
Anytime she says opportunity America, I'm Brian Kill Me, dude.
approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life.
Americans need help. They need $6 to avoid the top of the hour ad break, which I forgot to fucking run after I said I was going to serve it. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. 20K viewers, you fell off, picker.
Also find our recent interview conducted earlier this cycle with former President Donald Trump. Of course, we want to put as much information in your minds and in your...
what is this like piece by piece bullshit? Knowing how the other shoe drop really took the air out of these policies. Okay, this is ass that they're like, this is what they're doing. Anyway, exact same shit that happened in Hazelton that I talked about in that Tucker Carlson video is happening in Springfield right now. Like, are there going to be issues? Are there going to be issues in an area where there's an influx of migrants? 2 elementary schools were forced to evacuate after receiving threats in Springfield, Ohio on Thursday. Another middle school was closed. This comes as Trump and other Republicans continue spreading racist, dehumanizing lies about Haitian immigrants in that country stealing and killing neighborhood pets. Haitian families who have been instrumental in ushering an economic revitalization of the city are speaking about leaving the town entirely, fearing continued threats and harassment. Jake Johnston, author of the book Aid State, a critical examination of U.S. aid industry's impact on Haiti's sovereignty development, was interviewed by Majority Report. In the clips below, he provides crucial context. Yeah, I don't want to talk about like how Haiti was destabilized by the United States of America, specifically the Clintons. I know every single person, whenever we talk about Haiti, loves bringing that shit up. Right now, think of it like a sinking ship, okay? America is a sinking ship, and there are holes in this ship. I'm trying to plug as many holes as possible. You want me to steer the ship into a different area? I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to just plug the fucking holes, okay? And I feel like with the way that American political discourse has evolved over the course of these past couple of years, the more holes I plug, the more there are new holes.
Thousands. He said again that Venezuela is emptying jails, prisons to somehow deliberately let criminals come to the U.S. as migrants. Even his own campaign, let alone experts, have been able to substantiate that.
There are currently 28 vacant homes for every one person experiencing homelessness in the United States. That's a NIMBY talking point. Holy shit. Dude, this NIMBY YIMBY shit is so fucking stupid. That's not a NIMBY talking point, okay? It is correct. We don't only have a lack of housing units, which is a major problem, but that also points to the reality that housing being used as a vehicle for upward social mobility, as a mechanism to generate wealth for yourself, is at the heart of this issue. This is one part of that process. This is one fact that shows that treating housing as an investment, of course, is going to inevitably lead to the housing market behaving in the most predictable way possible. And yes, that's why I always get mad at the Yimbys and the Nimbys when they like fucking duke it out in the chat. Because there's truth to both sides of that argument, okay? Because ultimately, the problem is capitalism. Ultimately, the problem is the profit motive associated with the way that people analyze housing. That is the real problem. Housing needs to be decommoditized. I am in favor of building denser housing around transit. You're absolutely correct on this front. That's why every time I talk about this issue, Yimbys think I'm a Yimby. And every time I also talk about this issue, Nimbys think I'm a Nimby. Which, by the way, Steph Curry is the actual NIMBY in this situation, but a lot of Yimbys who are, yes, in my backyarders, the urbanists, okay, in my opinion, openly rely far too much on market conditions, when in fact, the actual system is fundamentally broken as a direct consequence of market conditions. If you have a bunch of upper middle class people who own homes and see their housing value as a direct way to generate net worth for themselves and as a asset that they can leverage against and borrow against, then they always want to make sure that their housing value goes up. How do you make that housing value go up? By reducing supply or limiting supply. Okay? One of the biggest problems with housing in this country is, in my opinion, a lack of government intervention. Okay? A lack of direct government intervention. That's what needs to happen. And the irony is, given that there are more renters than there are owners of homes, that the democratic process would allow government intervention in this process. Problem is, renters are poorer than homeowners. And therefore, homeowners and their attitude matters more. They're high propensity voters. If you're a renter, you're probably a lower propensity voter than a home owner. This is the real problem. In a place like California, where we fucking look for new initiatives year over year in an effort to at least attempt to decommodify housing, or in an attempt to like fix at least certain aspects of the housing crisis, we get nothing done because people vote for it democratically year over year, and then Governor Gavin Newsom, gruesome Gavin Newsom, destroys those initiatives. The only initiative you ever get is actually some fucking neoliberal urbanist bullshit like, oh, we can build ADUs. Here, we'll give you a tax credit so that you can fucking build an ADU. Build public housing. Build public housing. Okay? I don't give a fuck. Yes, in my backyard. Build public housing in my backyard, please. Okay? Please. It's not about building more units. It's also about building affordable units. Okay? It's not about building more units. It's also about ensuring that it is not cost effective any longer for people to sit on real estate without using it. Anyway.
The experts say is just not true. And Brianna, you fact-checked the claim about debate polls. I think we can get more specific. He said, he has more than...
It's boring.
Official drink of America first.
Let's get to Laura Loomer before we get to the full interview on ABC6. This is why the rich are freaking out about the unrealized gains thing that Kamala wants to do. In my suburb, little neighborhood, 1/4 of all the houses are empty, owned by giant corps. Yeah, it's funny though, because none of the rich people in your fucking neighborhood would actually be harmed in any meaningful way, harmed by taxing unrealized gains at the levels that they want to tax. It's just fucking idiotic. Everybody personally thinks that they're 100 millionaires when they're not. That's why the dumbest guy you know, whose only tangible asset, okay, is his own personal property in the form of a fucking busted-ass 1999 Honda Civic that was a hand-me-down from his older brother. But that guy thinks he's a rugged capitalist, okay? That guy's in the chat right now, probably chirping on his 11th sock account, being like, you're fucking idiot, Hasan. You fucking claim to be a communist. Meanwhile, you have a nice-ass house, okay? And you also have a nice-ass car. I fucking hate you, you fucking piece of shit. You're actually a real capitalist. It's like, okay, so what? Yes, I'm a capitalist. What changed? What changed? Let's say I'm a capitalist. Did my argument change at all? It didn't. You're just a fucking idiot. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. You just don't want to listen to what I'm saying. That's why I always say this. I'm like, yeah, call me a capitalist. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, sure. I love capitalism. You got me. Okay, now let's discuss the issue at hand. But nobody ever wants to do that. It's very stupid. Like, do you think it's beneficial for me to present myself as a socialist in a fucking nation where, this is the country where the Red Scare propaganda was most effective? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? If anything, it's a weight that constantly is on my goddamn shoulders that like makes everyone less charitable to me. I don't give a shit. Practice what you preach. How much you want to bet you have no idea what I'm practicing and what I'm preaching? I can't practice what you preach, idiot. I'm practicing what I'm preaching. It's just I'm not practicing what you think I'm preaching. That's the problem. We're not going to have this conversation a million times over. If you think I'm a capitalist, then yeah, I am. I'm the biggest capitalist you've ever done seen. Who gives a fuck? Now let's talk about the actual issues that matter. Unironically reinforcing the idea that rich people shouldn't want socialism is so detrimental to fucking fuck. I mean, I get why people are hostile towards that sort of thing. It makes sense because plenty of people whose extraction of revenue requires them to hire workers, yes, automatically develop that kind of attitude where they're like, oh, I don't want the system to change at all. This is how I make my money. The difference, however, is that it doesn't matter for me because I'm the one who's fucking working. Yeah. As the one who's working, I have to deal with these little fucking micromanager shitheads all the time.